Hello and welcome to today's edition of Top Rated Company Spotlight. My name's Adam Conrad. I'm the founder and CXO of Great Recruiters. We are all things experience management, review generation, reputation management for the staffing and recruitment industry. And I am joined here today with one of our first half of 2024 top rated IT staffing firms, Robert Bouchard, the COO of Tier4 Group. Robert, welcome, and how are you doing today?
Hey, Adam, great to see you and so glad to join you this afternoon.
Yeah, man. Well, congratulations. I mean, you guys knocked it out of the park. I think you have out of your team, you have nearly 90% of your team who's GR certified. I was just looking. I had a chance to talk to three of your recruiters who were all named top rated recruiters in the IT for Q2 2024. That's huge. Like to have three members of your team, that's a very small list of folks who get that award. So kudos to you guys. You must be doing something well, and we're going to learn a lot about this today. But first, I just want to do a little bragging. Tier4 Group is based out of Alpharetta, Georgia. They are coming in with a 4.9 star rating with a 95% highly recommended. As I mentioned, their team are GR certified recruiters, folks with 4 to 20 years of experience. I mean, you cover it all. And as I understand, you guys basically cover IT needs across the nation. Is that right?
Yeah, we focus primarily, I'd say, Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, and what we call our Southwest, which is primarily our Texas hub. We do some West Coast recruiting, but mainly Midwest and East Coast.
Awesome. And so let's just back up a little bit for those that don't know who Robert, just give us a little background on yourself and answer the important question. I'd love to hear your origin story of how you got into the staffing industry, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, like everyone, I went to school and got my degree in recruiting. No, I was very
no recruiter ever.
Yeah, very fortunate to go to college, Georgia Southern University, Statesboro, Georgia, about 45 minutes northwest of Savannah. Came to Atlanta chasing my hopes and dreams and ended up working for a technology company. From there, they were like, hey, we're paying these staffing firms these crazy fees. Do you think you could recruit some people for us? So I self-taught myself how to recruit, used a little website that no longer exists called computerjobs.com. Watched some videos and read some blogs on how to write Boolean code, and off I went. Turned that into an agency career, which started in 2007, and I'm still here. I like to say recruiting is life, and staffing agency work, this industry is just in my blood. And the reason why, Adam, is I've always been a connector of people. And I think chasing that as it relates to technology and recruiting has been something that has fueled me daily, constantly chasing that next connection and that match. And so I think it ticks a lot of itches that I have if we think about like life in general and how we're wound up. And it's just an opportunity to constantly be meeting new people, changing their careers and lives, but also doing that on the client side. And so that match and marriage is really what's led me to be in this industry now 17 plus years and going.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a great story. And tell us, you talked a little bit about the areas that you cover for Tier4, but give us a little background on Tier4 Group, who you guys help, and take it away.
Yeah, woman-owned, diversity certified, primarily technology-based staffing, but we do some finance and accounting, MarTech, digital creative. And in January of this past year, we launched our executive search practice under the name Retained. So those are the 4 verticals that we primarily operate in. Technology being our main focus, and not to get into the laundry list of skill sets, but it's a lot of emerging tech. But there are still clients that have needs for that mainframe legacy tech, because that's not going anywhere anytime soon either. And so we cover the gamut really from anything from service desk side, entry level, all the way up to that executive piece. And being woman owned, we recently celebrated our 10 years in business.
Kudos, that's great.
Our founder, Betsy Robinson, we had a really big celebration back in January that coincided with the launch of our retained practice. But look, tech drives industry and innovation right now. And I think as we look at how we've positioned ourselves, it's been focusing in some very specific verticals of financial services, insurance, e-commerce, supply chain, manufacturing, and healthcare. We have several clients that we support outside of that, but just being specialized in those verticals has also helped us position ourselves in the marketplace.
That's great. And talking to your team this week, which is just a cool opportunity. They all seem to share the same feeling. They feel so supported by the organization, right?
Yeah.
And great recruiters, in my mind, candidates work with recruiters. They will follow that recruiter wherever they go. That recruiter, though, is always looking for a home, in my mind, and they're going to be supported by great staffing firms that invest in their people and have core values and have a bigger vision. It's not just a transactional churn and burn, go make 100 phone calls, go hammer it out. I know that about you guys. And when you foster that type of environment, that's what I want to hear more about is how the culture is set up. What are your core values? So let's start there with core values. What are the core values that are near and dear to Tier 4?
Yeah, I think it starts with a standard of excellence. And a lot of firms say that, but we act it. And what I mean by that is it really becomes an extension for our candidates and our clients. We act equally on the behalf of both sides of the house because in our industry, Adam, no hires are made without a candidate or a client, and you have to have both in order to have a successful business in our industry. But I think it starts with and ends with white glove experience, and ultimately, that is what can be a differentiator. But really, it comes down to the people that are on the front lines doing it. So that's your recruiters and that's your account executives that are the face of Tier 4 Group. They're the brand. They just work under our umbrella as the Tier 4 Group team. And really, those individuals are the ones that make the difference constantly. It's a daily endeavor for them. We say, hey, we want to be 1% better every day. And really, it comes down to this industry is tough. And we want people who are just as tough or tougher than the industry because it can beat you down if you let it. But for us and how we look at it and how the industry's changed in the post-pandemic emergence, right? We look at 2021 and 2022, the hiring sprees and the industry trends that happened, the layoffs that started and how that impacted tech, really big tech significantly and continues today. We want to give people opportunities and access to opportunities that allow them for career advancement, but also to help our clients hire the best talent available. And it really comes down to that. Are we giving them the best talent that's available? Are they looking to hire the best talent available? And how do we make that match? And so how do we function in this primarily remote or hybrid workforce? And a lot of it comes down to we are a video first culture. We're a camera on culture. And when you operate and function as that, it allows you to create an ecosystem that is team oriented in what can be a very me first industry.
Yeah. And what do you do? I mean, as far as the development, the investment in your recruitment team, what are things that you're doing to help continue to invest in their growth and their development? Because like you said, things change, right? And as the economy changes, the needs change. Are we candidate focused? Are we client focused, right? Are we shooting fish in a barrel? Are we, are we, taking every opportunity we have and making sure that we're giving it the time and attention that it deserves, because there aren't as many opportunities. Like, what are you doing to help coach and train and develop your team?
Yeah, in the past year, we've leveraged LinkedIn Learning and a lot of the modules that they've provided. We also bring in outside consultants to help with not only sales, but recruiting training. We have leadership-led training, which is led by myself and Betsy, and that's done in not only group, but one-on-ones. And then we have peer-led training, which we've been incorporating more frequently into a bi-weekly basis. That's both on our sales and recruiting sides, where it's a peer-led training. So it's a topic that comes up or that's requested from the team. And then we have that led by the peer or the recruiter or the sales. There also is a very collaborative culture that we have. We utilize teams internally. So there's different channels and groups that are established where we celebrate our wins. We have our general chat where we talk about, things that are going on in our industry. We have our life experiences. So life happens constantly around us. And in this industry, it can be 24/7. And so one of the things that we try to do is make sure that our team is armed with the latest and greatest technologies that they can utilize and leverage, but also constantly sharpening the saw on tips or tricks, or even if it's just a new tool or incorporating it. We've utilized a lot of AI and note taking over the last year and a half that does a lot of transcriptions and recording that's allowed us to get better with our intakes and with our internal interviews, and being able to leverage that data and that information that we're collecting, then to go out and talk about talent analytics that exist.
I would have loved that as a recruiter. I remember the stacks and stacks of paper that I had as I'm just writing notes as quickly as possible. I remember talking to our IT, there was like Dragon dictation existed, but it was really poor. But today, I mean, it's amazing. You have the AI transcribe, you're having that conversation. That way, when you're taking those notes, you're focused on writing the stuff down. And I love to hear that, because it's like you can focus on that conversation and not miss a beat. You can go right back and like relive that conversation, which is only going to benefit your recruiters and the candidates, that you're not missing anything. So
and it's easy to miss something though, right? Because it's that difference in listening versus hearing. And those old manila folders with candidates' names on it that sat in filing cabinets. And when we
I had visions of that, my stacked folders. It looked like I was building a fortress around my desk.
Yeah. We tell jokes. Some of the older guard on our team, where we talk about you kids these days don't remember running into the office to collect resumes off of fax machines. We did that. Right?
We had to type in capital letter times 12 Roman, whatever it's called, so it would come through clear. And back in the day, those kids don't know what we had to go through.
But I think, Adam, though, I look back at, if you were to ask me, hey, Robert, what changed the course of staffing tech and technology in general? And it's the BlackBerry first, but the iPhone era, right? And now everything is consumed on your device versus a tower or a laptop, right? And how all of that has changed. It comes back to now communication is in the palm of our hand, and it's stronger than the computers that we first grew up recruiting on, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think the other thing that changed, I remember RFPs and filling stuff out, and they were so focused. All these companies were so focused on how big is your database? And I always thought to myself, who cares how big your database is if no one's going to call you back? And now we're in this world that your database is not unique. LinkedIn is your database. Everybody has access to the same talent. And it's kind of changed the way candidates also, like, they're going to call back who they trust. Right. And this industry has created a lot of reasons, especially in the IT industry, to not trust recruiters.
Mhm.
And so recruiters are up that battle. It's not as much finding the talent, it's getting that talent to want to call you back. And which is why we want to do things like this, because the firms like yours that are focused on the relationships, focused on the people, have the core values, are in it for the long term, are, not the high volume transactional, just try to push a button to seat kind of thing. I think that's what clients and candidates alike want. And that's what we want to bring more attention to are the firms that are doing it like this, like you guys, because they need to know who they can trust. And you can't promise them a job. But you can certainly promise to create a great experience. And creating a great experience goes a hell of a long way in this industry. I still have people that call me. I just had a CAD designer. I haven't recruited in 10 years, 15 years. I mean, I'm always recruiting, right? I'm a recruiter at heart. But he's like, hey, Adam, I'm looking for my new gig. Can you point me in the right direction? And here's a guy that I've never placed. It's that focus on the relationship.
Is he in Orlando, Florida? I may be able to help him.
You know what? I'll reach out and I'll put you in contact with him without a doubt. He's a great CAD engineer.
One point I wanted to make, though, just kind of piggybacking on your comments, and there's a lot of statistics out there, but it talks about how candidates, when they are active on the market, generally are only working with 2 to 3 recruiters at a time. There are candidates that work with a lot more than that, but the average candidate, the statistics say 2 to 3 recruiters at a time. And I always preach to our team, you want to be one of those 2 or 3, because that gets you on the field. It gives you an opportunity to represent the best talent available. And if you can differentiate yourself, because our recruiters, guess what? They're the brand, right?
Right.
They're who the candidate's giving their time to. It's not Tier 4 Group. It's not Robert Bouchard, COO. It's not Adam Conrad, right? It's the recruiter is the brand. And so being able to leverage credibility and knowing who we're talking to and what their experience is something that is very important when we look at 17,000 staffing firms exist, or 18,000 in our industry, nearly 5,000 specialize in tech.
Right.
So if you think about that, and then the number of recruiters that work in each of those organizations, you're looking at, how do I stand out in a crowd of 30, 40,000 people?
Yeah. Well, we have some ways to help, and you know that, but we can unpack that. No, it is. It's
differentiation, right, Adam? It really comes down to differentiation, and it comes down
to differentiation. It's like the subject line in an email. If you don't have the right subject line, nobody's going to even get to the point of your email, because they're not going to read it. It's going to go away. And so so as a recruiter, you have to do those things to at least get the conversation. And I tell recruiters all the time, when somebody chooses to call you back, you better treat that like gold, right? You better care that, nurture that, take care of it. And it doesn't matter if you place them today, but you just built an extra connection. And if you create that experience, that connection, has legs. It has friends. It has aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, mom, dad, coworkers. Everybody's looking for somebody they can trust, especially when it comes to something so important like their career. But hey, I want to switch gears. I love that we can hammer this out. We know recruiters are the brand. I love hearing that. Say, when you create a great experience, Adam's awesome, Robert's awesome. When you create a bad experience, Tier 4 Group stinks, right? That's what they do. They label all the bad stuff on the company. They label all the good stuff on the recruiter. And so it is your brand out there. And you want to make sure they're doing a great job. And don't take out of context that I said Tier 4 Group sucks. That's not at all what I said.
No, not at all. But listen, at the end of the day, that's the ebb and flow of the industry and how it falls down, right? And you said something about subject lines. Before we shift gears, they can be an afterthought in our industry. And now more than ever, as we talked about, the personal device era, the iPhone era, candidates are reading their emails on their phone And so subject lines are just as critical, because it really comes down to whether I'm going to give you my time or not, depends on what your subject line states.
Yeah.
It's so that the thought that goes into that is absolutely critical. And it's something that we're constantly striving for here, is to write better subject lines, better approaches in our reach outs.
Well, and people say recruiting is sales. Recruiting is marketing right now. Recruiting is marketing. It is 100% marketing. It is a marketing job for many companies. You have the same order. It's it's I won't say it's all commoditized, but there's a lot of commodity there where a lot of firms are sharing the same job orders. There's not as many exclusivity things, because companies are smart and saying we're going to diversify. And just like a candidate's going to work with 2 to 3 recruiters, companies are going to work with maybe 2 to 3 staffing firms, and the bigger ones are working with 20 to 30 on these huge MSPs. So you have this, and I see it so much, and you have so many recruiters bombarding this talent, and you do have to find ways to stand out. It is that subject. You're right. You got to get somebody to get that call back. That's the biggest challenge.
Well, what are we getting? 200 plus unsolicited emails in a day on average for the average professional. I mean, and how do you stand out in that? And you nailed it. As we learned, there isn't new market. There's only market share to be had.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what shifts. So I have already heard, like, you guys are innovating. And what I love is this, and you were in it. You were in 2008, 2009, tough time for the industry. I know for our organization that I was with, what I learned through our great leadership was like, hey, now's the time to invest in our foundation. Now's the time to invest in our systems. Now's the time to invest to make sure that we're doing things right. Because when it's so crazy, it's tough to focus on that. But I'm hearing this thing. I've heard people say it, and it makes me crazy. They're like, yeah, it's a tough year. Let's just, we're all just trying to survive to 25. And I'm thinking, no. What are you doing to thrive to 25, right? What are you doing? And I want to hear about what Tier 4 Group is doing to go beyond that survival mode of just trying to get through it, which just sounds like a horrible strategy, to what are we doing to stack the cards in our favor for when things start even opening up, that you guys are at the top. Can you talk a little bit about the innovation that you guys are going through?
Yeah, I think I would say that, to me, survival, Adam, is a mindset, but thriving is an action, right?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love that.
And what I mean by that is we're constantly evaluating tech that exists in the staffing world, automation tech that exists maybe even outside of the staffing world. And one of the things that we decided as we were moving into 2024 at the end of 2023 is we needed to get more name recognition in order to be able to expand our existing market share, but also take away market share from our competitors, right? That's how we knew that we would thrive as we worked through 2024. And ultimately, we also wanted to be more credible. And that includes reviews. It includes presence in our content and in our social channels, but it also includes our process and how we go about validating experience and who people are, who they say they are. I read an article last week that talked about AI generated resumes and how it's increasing interview percentages for individuals who are utilizing AI generated resumes. Pretty scary when you start to think about that, right? That all of a sudden what's on the piece of paper maybe doesn't exist. So we've been utilizing and leveraging some fraud detection technologies that exist that we identified at the end of 2023. Great Recruiters is new for us in 2024. And we've been on a tech stack and consolidation journey over the first half of this year and continuing through this current quarter, where we want to put ourselves in a position as we close out the year to have a lot of momentum heading into 2025. Get past this election era, 75 days and counting as of the time of this recording, right? To make sure that where we are puts us in a unique position to expand our current footprint, but also take away some of that opportunity that exists outside of our current footprint. And Technology is a big piece of that, but technology is only as good as the individual behind it. So when AI being the latest buzz for the last 18 to 24 months, but how we utilize AI really comes back to the automation and attracting and creating talent acquisition still requires people. And the people on the backside of that, Adam, to circle it all back to a relationship driven approach, matter. And the
Right.
experience that we give them matters. And so, what we've done as we've weathered the down, right, lower job volume that a lot of the industry is seeing, we've gotten more hyper focused in our sprints and in our iterations, and really what we call ruthless prioritization.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, focusing on what matters most now.
I love that ruthless prioritization, because every salesperson that comes back with a job order, it's the hottest order out
That's
there.
right. That's right. That's right. And having a grading scale that matters internally. And one of the things that we came up with recently is what we call an opportunity. And a lot of times it's ABC, 1, 2, 3. But if we're honest with, hey, this is an O, this is an opportunity. So our expectations are maybe tempered a little bit. We're looking to get our foot in the door, prove our capabilities.
Right.
It helps to set the mindset, levels the mindset on the delivery and the sales side as to what the expectations are.
Yeah. No, I really like that. I like that. Hey, I want to, we're getting close on time, but, you know, I love when we met a year ago, we sat down, you joined a round table and you happened to be there because nobody knew what my round table was about. And you got there late. So by default, I was the only table available, which I'm glad. It was meant to be. But what I love, and I want to hear, like, I don't know, I know what your focus is. What was interesting was we talked about it, and instantly I was like, you care about relationship, you're leadership focused, you care about core values, you care about relationships, you care about all the things that I think that I believed in and why I started Great Recruiters. And you're like, all right, let's do this. And so flash forward, we're almost a year in. Like, can you just unpack for me, how is Great Recruiters helped your organization? How is it aligned to kind of, because I think we aligned with what you already believed. And we help to be supported. But can you talk a little bit about how your experience with Great Recruiters has been over the last, 10 months?
Adam, I'd say it comes down to one word. It's validation. And the key to validation is that it's not just saying something. There's like action behind those words. And so validation that our recruiting team is different. They do provide a level of service that is unique. Are we perfect? No. But when we look at some of the analytics that are on our Great Recruiters company page, 96 net promoter score, 4.9 overall scores, as you shared. And then we look at our response rates that we've received, which is almost 80%. Like, that's an incredible
response rate.
77, I think, was the latest, but nearly 80%. But all of that means nothing except for what the rating really comes down to, and the presence that creates and the visibility that creates, because candidates have choices, clients have choices, as we've talked about. And what I wanted to do is validate what we were already aware of, but now it's in the public eye. And that's through our Google reviews. That's through our Great Recruiter reviews. And the platform and how it's intended has created that for us as a company, and has allowed us to leverage these analytics to validate what we already know.
And I think you said you're using this also from a sales outbound perspective.
Absolutely.
Right? Here, like we said, there's a lot of choices, but if you're going to choose one, why don't you choose one that's publicly proven, validated, to create great experience, to have great success? Because, and I'll say to any buyer out there of staffing services, and the size of a database doesn't matter. What you want to really know is, about the recruiters, because the
Mhm.
recruiters are the ones that get the callbacks. And if you're working with a staffing firm and the recruiter's not getting the callbacks, Robert, you said it. We want to make sure that we give the best access of talent to our customers.
Yep.
And the only way you can provide that best access is to get more people to call you back, so you have more candidates to validate, so you can ensure that they are getting the best available talent that's interested in what the opportunity is right now, not the first available.
That's right.
Because a lot of firms will just submit the first one that calls back because we don't know if we're going to get another one. So
it comes back to, for us, quality, quantity, and quickness. And Great Recruiters is a platform that's allowed us to accelerate that hiring process, because it's giving us that access and it's giving us that back end credibility for candidates to justify their time with us.
Oh, that's great. Well, hey, we are at time. I really appreciate you sharing the insight and what you guys are doing over there at Tier 4 Group. You can just tell, talking to your team, talking to you, the passion that is in this is real. You've got real people that love to help real people. So if you are looking for an IT opportunity, I don't care if you're in Alpharetta, Georgia or not. I got to imagine Robert's got connections all across the nation. If you're in the IT realm and you're looking to work with a great recruiter that's supported by a great staffing company, look no further. Reach out to them. As I mentioned, they are top-rated IT staffing firm for the first half of 2024. And I just wish you all the best. I know there just will be continued growth and success stories, and we're just happy to be a little bit a part of that. So, Robert, kudos to you and your team, and really appreciate you joining me here today.
Yeah, Adam, thanks to you for the partnership, and appreciate you and your team, David and Holly, and everything they do to support us. And very grateful for this opportunity to come on and chat about what we do.
Awesome. Hey, everybody, remember, progress over perfection. I love it. Get 1% better every day. Strive for greatness. Be okay when you slip and fall and make a mistake. Embracing those mistakes are what help you grow. Just keep getting better out there. Remember, we're just people helping people, and love this industry. Thanks so much, Robert, for joining us. Have a great one. Thanks.